All right, everybody. So welcome to the Healthy Podcast here. This is my friend Jodi. She has a master's. She's certified in fitness and nutrition, and she's here to educate me today on intermittent fasting, the sticking points, and the controversy behind it. So Jodi, today you've come to talk to me about intermittent fasting, the sticking points, the controversy behind it. We're going to dispel some myths behind what people feel about fasting intermittently and how they can get over those hurdles.
Okay. I'm really excited to be here today and to tell you about intermittent fasting and the success I've had with it personally and with clients. It's such a great way to eat and manage your food.
Well, we're always looking for how to manage our weight and our calories in and out. And how long have you been doing intermittent fasting for?
Personally, I've been doing it since last October.
Wow, okay. So you're definitely many months in there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
what kind of, let's give everyone a sneak preview. What kind of benefits did you notice?
Well, immediately the brain fog went away.
Oh.
And that was amazing for me. I was focused. I could concentrate better. My attention was better. I did lose weight quickly, but I also was more energetic when I was working out. I had more performance that was better than ever before. My run speed went up. I just found so much of a benefit from doing it that then I just kept continuing to experiment with the different variations of it.
And there's a lot of variations to intermittent fasting.
Yes.
Now, before we get into those variations and how we can apply it to anybody out there, you said you got lifted that brain fog, but what about how everyone has that afternoon crash? Everyone has their lunch and they crash and they're looking for coffee around noon. What happened with you?
I don't have the crash anymore.
Okay, but you used to.
I used to, yeah, all the time. I used to be looking for that cup of coffee and towards the end of the school day because I'm a teacher. And now I just keep going through. And then when it's the next time to eat, I eat and absolutely fine. No more brain fog in the middle of the afternoon.
And one of the biggest questions from my patients is how long is it going to take till I start to feel and see results?
Well, there's two ways we can look at this.
Uh-huh.
The first couple of weeks, I'm not going to lie, they're challenging. It's very hard for people to fast for that period of time. Even as in the beginning, you can start fasting for only 12 hours and then you fuel during the other 12 hours. But ultimately, the goal is to get to fasting for 16 to 18 hours or more. So in the beginning, it could be a little uncomfortable and tricky, and I have a whole bunch of tricks up my sleeve to make it seamless when you start. But as far as weight loss, you'll see that almost immediately within the first week.
The first week?
First week. Brain fog within the first week. It takes about a week for your body to adjust to this new way of eating.
Okay.
And then after that, you can start experimenting with longer periods of time fasting, and you'll see the benefits get even bigger.
Now, I had to have you come on here because I know I've tried this in the past too, and I didn't have a coach, and my nutrition background is definitely missing in some areas. And I was kind of like the all or nothing, I would only eat 2 hours out of the day, and then that was it. And every day and every hour, I would just think about drinking coffee and eating food. And whereas you're certified in nutrition and fitness, so to get to that point might be possible, and you've been through this personally. So to get to an extended period of fasting, what are some tips and tricks you can start implementing to get you to a longer period of fasting?
Well, first and foremost, pick the hours of the day that will be easiest for you. My trick is that if you go to bed, let's say at 9 o'clock, and you're waking up at 5 the next morning for work, you already have been fasting for 8 hours.
Okay.
So if you look at that in that mindset, it's like, wow, now I really don't have to fast for as long as I thought when I'm awake. Then once you're awake, you can have your coffee in the morning. It needs to be black, or your tea. You can have black tea. But the trick is plain seltzer with ice cubes.
Really?
Every time you feel like you're hungry, your stomach is growling, which is a physical sensation of hunger.
Yeah.
We have both physical and emotional with hunger, and intermittent fasting helps that, which we can talk about as well. You start sipping ice seltzer. It's got to be plain, and it makes a huge difference.
I haven't read that or seen that on the internet anywhere, not even any blog posts. I'm going to try that today.
Yeah.
All right. So how can, I know we just jumped right into this and we gave a little preview of intermittent fasting. Tell us the beginner's guide to intermittent fasting, how they can start this, and how to push back on any kind of negativity they might be feeling or their friends might be saying to them.
Okay. Could we talk a little bit about why it works?
Let's start how it works with.
Okay. So any diet, I hate that word, but as a nutrition coach, a diet sounds so ominous. And many people hear the word diet and they're like, oh,
another one.
I don't want to do it. It's going to limit me. And it really doesn't have to. And the thing with intermittent fasting that makes it so different is it has a direct effect on your insulin levels. And insulin is what causes fat storage or fat burning. It's a pretty amazing hormone, what it's responsible for. And the basic science behind it is when you eat, insulin gets secreted. When insulin gets secreted, fat gets stored and your fat burning stops. So now if you had anything left that needed to be burned as energy, it's going to go to glucose first, not the fat, because glucose is our primary source of energy in a natural eating. So if you're having your regular 3 meals a day, 3 snacks a day, your body's going to burn off the glucose first. But we want to burn the fat off. That's where
how do we do that?
The true testament happens. Well, what happens is when you fast, your insulin actually drops, which now promotes fat that is stored to be used for energy. It increases the fat burning. So the longer you fast, the more fat you're actually burning for energy. It's called becoming fat adapted. And the insulin is not being produced. Now you're using fuel as your primary, fat as your primary fuel. And that is where the fat loss starts to happen. It also helps with your brain, your energy. The fat being used as fuel is what causes that brain fog to stop occurring.
That's the brain fog. Okay, so our muscles will be preserved then.
Your muscles are preserved because what they found is that when you go through an extended period of fast, and you mentioned controversies before and concerns, okay, one of the biggest concerns every time I recommend intermittent fasting, but we're going to go into starvation mode. And then when we're in starvation mode, then our muscles are going to get wasted away. That's not actually the case. What happens after a certain period of time is that your catecholamines start to produce because they're in a fight or flight. So now they feel like, we haven't had food in a while. So now we have to actually defend our body. And when that happens, the norepinephrine and the adrenaline, it actually preserves your muscle because it's a protective factor. So your muscle is not going to waste. And you are taking in the calories and the nutrients that you need during your fueling period of time. And it's just utilized better than if you were eating it for a period of 6 meals a day.
So we've almost been taught a backward science on this about we lose muscles, but we really don't, especially if we do it the correct way. The intermittent fasting kind of resets everything in our body.
Yes.
I know that there are youth benefits to this also. So tell us more about how we're going to stay youthful.
Well, one thing that occurs with intermittent fasting is called autophagy, and that's cell regeneration. And when we regenerate our cells, it makes us more youthful.
Okay.
So the longer you fast, the better chance you have of being using autophagy in your body. The other thing that happens with intermittent fasting is human growth hormone gets secreted. Human growth hormone also helps us to stay young. It helps our skin, it helps our bones, it helps our muscles, it helps our brain. They've actually done studies where they showed that intermittent fasting can prevent many types of diseases like Alzheimer's, memory loss as you get older, certain cancers, diabetes, all because of this autophagy where you're regenerating these cells that are no longer useful.
That's amazing. I wish this has been a popular trend sooner than later. Even still, that's starting to gain notoriety. And it's still a little bit shunned upon. Now, personally, I did the intermittent fasting for 7 months, and I had a huge improvement in my skin tone, skin texture, forehead lines and wrinkles. I had the weight loss as well. The problem that I had though was that my calories in when I was allowed to eat, because I was only eating once every 18 hours or so, which was difficult with a busy work schedule, high stress, things of that nature. I was going for calories that probably weren't the healthiest, and then being full on those, and then that cycle would keep repeating because I didn't have a health and fitness coach that was certified in diet to help me through this process. So what are some of the ways that you would have recommended, if we can go back in time, that you would have recommended to me on what I could be eating and what was going to help me sustain feeling satiated without wanting, okay, the time's up and now I want to eat something that I probably shouldn't?
Well, the first thing is you always want to break your fast with something that contains protein and or fat, because that won't cause the cravings for the sugar.
Okay.
So if you break your fast with a brownie, then you're going to keep craving the sugar. So you should break your fast with something that's protein and or fat. Then when you're eating your meals, whether it's the 1 meal a day like you were doing, or you're doing the 3 meals or 6 meals in that small period of time, you want to make sure that you are getting all of the nutrients that will keep you satiated with our healthy fats, lean protein sources, healthy carbohydrates like whole grains, and that will keep you satiated during that time and will be adequate fuel for you the following day during your fasting period when you're awake.
Now you just touched upon some frequency of meal variations. So you said 1, 3, 6 meals a day with intermittent fasting. How does that work? Because it sounds like you're not fasting now.
Well, you're only fasting during your fasting period. When
Okay.
you're fueling, you're fueling. So you can eat. You can have snacks. So you decide how you're going to break up your fueling period of time. Me personally, I have 2 decent sized meals and 2 to 3 snacks
What
in my
times a
6
day?
hours. I fast from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock the night before, depending on what I'm doing, till 1 to 2 o'clock the following day.
Okay, and then 1 to 2, and then from 1 to 2 you start eating
Yes.
until that evening.
Yes.
Okay.
Until 8 to 9.
So that actually is not so difficult for most people, because most of us work a job, and now during our lunch break, we can have our lunch break. We can have something in the middle after that, and then when we get home for family dinner, we can have dinner with the family, or we can go out with friends, and then it's back to the fast again. That actually sounds doable.
That is one of the things that my clients and myself love about intermittent fasting is the flexibility in it. Because during that fueling period, you're flexible. You can eat what you want. You can eat it when you want to. You can eat 1 meal. You can eat 3 meals and 2 snacks. It doesn't matter. During that fueling time, you have that flexibility. It's flexible whether you want to be a vegan, if you want to eat vegetarian options, if you want to do low carb, high fat, high protein. Any type of eating style will work during those periods.
Now, for some of the complicated people out there, people with diabetes, people who are taking medicines that they need to take with food, I know it's going to be very individualized to them and what their doctor recommends, but have you heard of some of these cases before and how they kind of worked with intermittent fasting?
I've actually heard about diabetes being reversed from intermittent fasting. I've not seen it with a client. I have not had one that had diabetes, but I have read plenty of studies where diabetes has been reversed by intermittent fasting.
But let's say you get a client and they have type 2 diabetes and they have fluctuations with their blood sugar, and they are saying to you, I'm concerned about intermittent fasting because I won't be eating, and what if my blood sugar drops?
With a diabetic, that's somebody that I would have to work with their doctor. I could educate them on how to do the intermittent fasting, what they could eat, what they couldn't eat, but I would tell them to go through their doctor because that's too medical in nature.
Well, I mean, I think you just said it best, which is you can work with them, but you'd also be working with their doctor at the same time.
Yes.
So you can work with a variety of healthcare professionals while coaching them through the intermittent fast.
Yes.
And then for people without any health concerns, they need to hurry up and get on this. Okay.
Yes, because it's so effective and it really works, and it just gives you so many benefits that you can't get from a regular diet. And any diet will work if it's convenient and you can stick with it. And I find that intermittent fasting is so easy to stick with once you get past that first hurdle of the first week, let's say, until you feel like, wow, I really can do this. I really can go, oh my God, 18 hours without food. You know what? Today I'm going to go 20 hours without food. And it really is effective.
All right. So you've been doing nutritional coaching and fitness coaching for a long time now. Can you share any major success stories that you have?
Well, with regular diet, I'll save that for another podcast. But
Okay.
for intermittent fasting, I've had a few clients that have had really major successes. And one that I really want to talk about is someone that refuses to eat healthy.
Really?
And could not lose weight for anything, because this person would not eat any vegetables, only eats fried food. It's really not the healthiest diet in the world. And they kept telling me, I really want to lose weight. I really want to lose weight. And I said, let's just do an experiment. Let's see if intermittent fasting works if you just eat the stuff you eat, but only during that period of time.
Okay.
Said, because I love to research. I love to experiment. Said, okay. So she said, I'm on board. I'll do it. She continued to eat the same unhealthy diet that she had been eating before, but only during a 6-hour period of time.
Wow.
She lost 30 pounds and was wearing a bikini for the first time in her whole life in her 50s.
That's incredible. And how long did it take her to lose those 30 pounds?
About 3 months.
Which is 10 pounds a month is incredible, especially for a female in their 50s.
Yes.
That probably has other health concerns and hurdles.
Yes.
And so she might be, one of the more cases that need a lot more coaching. She's not your average results. She's over to the right a little bit more.
Yeah.
And she lost 10 pounds per month, where someone else who was in maybe a slightly better metabolism with less health issues would have far, far greater numbers than that. That's amazing right there.
I've had the biggest success I see, because as a middle-aged woman myself, is the middle-aged woman that says nothing is working. It's menopause. It's my hormones. I can't do this anymore. I can't lose weight. And it is true. As you get older and you start approaching menopause, perimenopause, and then menopause after, your hormones do get out of balance. And insulin is one of those hormones. And as women, we become less tolerant of carbohydrates. Intermittent fasting balances those hormones, so you can still maintain a healthy weight into menopause and beyond. And that's what I've seen with some of my older clients. And absolutely, I'm excited about that for myself as well.
Wow. Now, that's incredible to know that you specialize in middle-aged women as well as everybody else,
Right.
but you can actually work with some of the toughest cases.
Yep.
All right, now we're right in the middle of summer now. How does alcohol fit into this?
You can drink as long as it's during your fueling period.
Okay, so
That's it.
okay.
You absolutely can.
So drink at
of
noon.
course, there are alcohols that are better
Okay.
to drink. Try to avoid the sugary drinks, the big mixed drinks in the pretty bowls with blue coloring and all that.
Fish bowls, okay.
Yes, try to avoid those. Try to avoid frozen margaritas, frozen pina coladas. If you can drink plain, clear, white alcohol, like tequila, vodka, gin, with seltzer, maybe a splash of juice,
Okay.
you will find that you're not going to put weight back on. And you can even drink wine when you're intermittent fasting, as long as it's during your fueling period.
Do you have any healthy, maybe we can check out your social pages. Do you have any of your favorite kind of homemade mixed drinks that you kind of make? Do you do those at all?
Just had one last night and it was delicious. It was a creamsicle.
Oh.
You take Svedka orange or clementine vodka, mix it with vanilla seltzer. I use Hal's because it's clean. There's no artificial ingredients in there.
Okay.
And a splash of coconut almond milk.
Oh.
Wow. It was like having a creamsicle from your ice cream man when I was a kid.
Now we're basically having the drinks we want on the beach, except they're more of the clear alcohols like you're saying.
Yes.
But now we don't feel like it's a diet drink, and we're still having fun in the summertime.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm
That's awesome.
constantly concocting new beverages to get through the
Well,
summer.
we need to hop on your social pages, Jodi. We're gonna link you and everything here. People are gonna check out your intermittent fasting tips. They're gonna check out, probably a lot of your drink recipes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's intermittent fasting, but I hear there's different types of intermittent fasts.
Yes. So most people I recommend start with the 12-12. That means that you're fasting for 12 hours and fueling for 12 hours. Then you have the 16-8 or the 18-6, which is called the lean gains. That means that you're fueling for the 8 hours or the 6 hours and fasting for the 16 or the 8. Then you have the OMADs, which is what you did. It's 1 meal a day.
Okay.
That's a really hard fast, but a lot of people love it. And once they start building up to that, they actually like that better. And I have seen people that have gone for 24, 36, 48 hours for fasting.
Wow.
If you look back at certain religious cultures, they've fasted for centuries and have had many health benefits from it.
Mm-hmm.
The other one that's very popular is the 5-2. The 5-2, you do intermittent fasting for 2 days. But really what it's doing is you're only taking in 600 to 800 calories during those 2 days of the week, and you're supposed to do them non-consecutively. So let's say Tuesday, Friday.
Okay.
And then the rest of the week, you eat normal and not during a fasting period. You can eat your 6 meals during the day and so forth. So that's the 5-2. The other thing that's really important with intermittent fasting is clean versus dirty.
Yes.
Okay. And people get very confused, and it's very simple. Clean fasting, which does show the most success because I've done experiments on myself where I dirty fast and I clean fast, and then I see what happens. Clean fasting is where during your fasting period, you're only allowed to have plain water, plain seltzer, black coffee, black tea, nothing flavored. Because what happens with flavor, it's kind of neat the way insulin works. Even if you put a piece of sugar-free candy in your mouth, your brain automatically thinks that you're taking in sugar.
Oh, no.
Even though there's no calories, no sugar in there. So that can inhibit your benefits with fasting. So clean fasting, no flavor. With dirty fasting, you're still not eating during the fasting period. However, you can have a little bit of cream in your coffee if you have to have it. You can have diet drinks and flavored seltzers and all. You can put a lemon in your water if you want to. A lot of people dirty fast at first because it is better for adherence because you're not taking everything away from the person. But then once they start saying like, okay, I could do this. You know what? Let me just try my black coffee. Okay, it's a little bitter, but I can keep doing this. And then when you start to see the results, when you switch from dirty to clean fasting, it's pretty amazing that most people will just stick with the clean after that because the results are much better than dirty.
I like that there's so many options there. People can choose what level that they're at and what's best for them. And there's some flexibility to start the fasting. They can stay there. They can move to intermittent. They could change the hours and kind of figure that out until they really want to bump that up to something more permanent.
And it helps with socializing also, because if you have a party to go to and you're going to be eating from 8 to midnight,
right?
Just tweak your hours for that day. Just shift them. That's all. And that's why it's so flexible. And you can do it. And there are people that just like one time a week will do the OMAD, the 1 meal a day, because they know they have a party the next day. So they do it preventatively.
Yeah.
We talked about menopausal women and premenopausal women and the success. I actually have an 18-year-old client who has been doing this for about 5 to 6 weeks, and she's already lost 11 pounds. So it does work regardless of the age. A lot of people are afraid that when they fast, their exercise will suffer. Your exercise actually improves when you're fasting because you're using fuel. You're using fat as the fuel instead of the glucose and the carbohydrates because you are exercising in a fasted state. So that just ups your fat burn even more. And you are not tired and weak and not able to complete your exercise. You actually get better performance from fasting.
So this is perfect for anyone who's athletic, a weekend warrior, all the way to a professional athlete.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so we covered intermittent fasting, fasting in general, eating clean, eating dirty. Now, then there's also other things that you can do. So I know that you personally coach people online through Zoom, through email, however you can communicate with them. Now, there's something you were telling me, something called ProLan.
Yes. ProLan is, we can do a whole nother podcast on that because it does involve a lot of time. But it's something that for a person who wants to intermittent fast but is a little hesitant, or is looking for something more convenient because it does come with all of the meals and the supplements and the drinks, so they don't have to worry about figuring out what they're going to eat. ProLan is a fasting mimicking diet.
Okay.
So the results mimic a person who's intermittent fasting.
But there's a lot more tools and prepackaged supplements and shakes, and that's not for everybody, but some people really want something that's convenient in their lifestyle. And that could be another training wheel to getting to more of a serious intermittent fast.
Yes.
So not only can help you when you go on vacation, there are things you can take with you when you travel. It has nutrition built in. It's already prepackaged.
Yes.
And you coach that as well. So whether you're male, female, young, or not so young anymore, no matter your athletic body type, whether you want to lose weight, size around your weight, or you want to lose size around your waist, whether you're local or you're far, they can coach with you, and together you can work out where they should start, what tools, aids, and training wheels that they might need to stay on track, and have you right there as a resource to guide them through so they can be successful in their goals and having a successful fast and getting over those hurdles.
And that's my goal. I like to see people succeed at their goals.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Jodi, so much for coming on the show today. This is going to help a lot of people.
Anytime. Love to help.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.